Hey guys, I'm Nate Santos, and my topic for today is going to be a refutation to Quinn's claim of fact speech about self-driving cars. Just a little reminder of Quinn's main claim. He stated that the implementation of self-driving cars in the near future will reduce accidents and increase efficiency in both fuel consumption and drive times. However, Quinn's claim fails to take into consideration that there are many different possible ways to increase efficiency for those issues stated in the latter, like public transportation or even solar roadways. Which leads me to my main claim that the idea of self-driving cars is much too advanced to apply in the near future. And instead, application of public transportation would do all the same things self-driving cars would, except in a more realistic time span. I will support my main claim with the following arguments: that one, that the world's advancement is much too slow for us to be expecting this type of change. Two, that self-driving cars won't increase efficiency. And finally, that the application of public transportation allows access to transportation to virtually anyone. My first argument was that the world's advancement is much too slow for us to be expecting this type of change in an everyday activity like driving. I will be supporting this argument by stating the technological setbacks in self-driving cars and shedding light upon its effects on the economy. Firstly, technological setbacks have pushed the expectancy of self-driving cars from the near future to a much further time from now. Matthew J. Belvedere of CNBC states in this article that even with interest from the likes of Google and Tesla to major automakers, fully self-driving cars may still be a decade or more away from hitting the road. Also, Chief Technology Officer of Delphi Automotive, Jeff Owens, claims that to get the driver out of the seat, you're 10 years or 15 years away at least. Secondly, the idea of self-driving cars would be unrealistic in the way that self-driving cars would affect our economy because of its cost of manufacturing, buying, and maintaining such a luxury. According to Chuck Tanner of FastCompany.com, in a recent study it was found that the price of self-driving technology will add between $7,000 and $10,000 to the car's sticker price. My second argument is that self-driving cars won't increase efficiency in fuel consumption and drive times. Quinn claims that self-driving cars would decrease fuel consumption. This statement would be inaccurate because self-driving cars would still be utilizing gas in order to function. His argument would be valid if he were to be arguing for electric cars rather than self-driving cars. Also, there would not be a decrease in drive times because traffic lights and road congestion would still exist. Quinn claims that self-driving cars would decrease drive times, but what actually causes drive times to become elongated is road congestion, which self-driving cars would not solve. Nationwide Insurance recently made a statistical evaluation about what causes road congestion, and they state that 40% of road congestion is caused by bottlenecking. Self-driving cars would not solve the issue of bottlenecking. What would improve the efficiency of drive times would be additional lanes to the street. Let's see. Where was I? Sorry. A good solution that would increase efficiency in electricity would be solar-powered roadways. In a satirical video called "Solar Freaking Roadways," found on an online article by Indiegogo.com, one would view a very funny yet very informational video about the benefits of implementing solar roadways. Those benefits would include, but aren't limited to, lane illumination, ice melting technology, and pedestrian animal crossing alerts, and it would apply applying solar roadways would increase both driver efficiency and be beneficial to the environment. My last argument would be that the application of public transport allows access to transportation to virtually anyone, which would defeat the purpose of self-driving cars. Quinn claims that self-driven cars would help individuals who are handicapped, but he fails to take into consideration that that public transportation already give that benefit of transportation to those who are unable to drive. Also, Quinn states that with the implementation of self-driving cars, there would be no need for a driver's license. Public transportation only requires that the driver of the vehicle have a license. Therefore, public transportation already allows anyone to travel from point A to point B without the need of a driver's license. Also, the implementation of public transportation allows transport of more people at once rather than transporting people individually in their own self-driving cars, ultimately saving gas efficiency drastically. In conclusion, to assume that we can implement self-driving cars to our society would be unrealistic because the idea is way ahead of our time, and because there are more tangible solutions to the issues that self-driving cars would solve that we can apply in the near future. Thank you.
Well, you set up the organizational structure pretty well, although it doesn't automatically follow the advocate's claims. Your counterclaims are relatively clearly stated, and you kind of explained, I think your main issue is the first one, that adaptability or our technological advancement is going to be problematic for this to be true, at least in the short run. You had a couple of good pieces of information that indicate that it's at least a decade away. One person says it's 10 to 15 years away, at least, which means that it sounds like it's going to be even further down the road that you're talking about that. I think one of the things that you might focus on is how quickly conditions might change over time, how people's demands for transportation could easily change. Also, what the economic cost of change is. You do kind of come up with an argument on that, and I thought that that was one of the things that makes it even less likely that these changes are going to be immediate. If you're increasing the cost of the average vehicle by $7,000 to $10,000, that's going to discourage people from moving to these new technological innovations. It's certainly going to put it off for a period of time. So if it was 10 years from now or 15 years from now that self-driving cars are possible, and you need to have a majority of people using self-driving cars to get any of the advantages, and it takes $7,000 to $10,000 additional spending to get those self-driving cars, people will probably delay that. So it's likely that you're talking about 30 or 40 years more rather than something that's just a decade down the road. I think that that would be an easy way to kind of summarize that argument. Your challenge on the fuel argument, I think you've mostly ignored the justifications that the advocate is talking about. I mean, you're saying, well, the cars still use gas, there's still going to be a lot of cars on the road, and you get a lot of congestion. And then you say 40% of traffic congestion is a result of bottlenecking, and then you assert that self-driving cars are not going to solve that. But my understanding is that self-driving cars, because of the computer technology, would do exactly that kind of thing. That's one of the things that they would avoid doing, because the cars would merge earlier, they would pace themselves so that there was less likelihood that people were trying to fill into the gap or crowd each other in. And as a result, you'd be able to maintain a fairly even pace and the bottlenecks wouldn't occur. You don't really give an explanation, you just say self-driving cars won't fix that. But I don't know why they wouldn't fix that if they work the way supposedly they're supposed to work. I think there are good questions about whether or not cars can actually do the things that are being predicted. Certainly not yet, which I think is the point that you come back to several points. I'm not exactly sure what the solar road thing gets you. I mean, you talk about it, you make some issues here. I guess the idea is that there are alternative ways that we can reduce these problems. You needed to make that claim a little bit more clearly, because I think that fits more closely then with your public transportation argument at the end. Okay, thank you.